Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Invisible Condition. It's not all in your head. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson, and we want everybody with an invisible condition to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that you do have a voice. You do have a community, and you are never alone. And I'm so excited for our guest today. She's cool. Jennifer Weaver, diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. Man, that's a mouthful. Rheumatoid arthritis and a rare form of psoriasis, has spent years navigating the challenges of chronic illness. Faced with pain, fatigue, uncertainty, Jennifer found strength in community, ultimately creating a amazing podcast, which I had the honor of being on her podcast, which should air sort of soon. I don't know. We'll see. We'll talk about it. It's called My Spoonie Sisters. I know, sisters. I wouldn't seem like I would fit, but it was a fun show. It was a great show. And we're going to have a link on the screen and a QR code so that you guys can watch it easily because it's pretty cool. So that podcast is a supportive space for those with, similar struggles. We'll get into what Spoonie means too, because I know not everybody might be familiar with that. I wasn't until just a few years ago. So her advocacy journey, rooted in her own experience, which is usually how it works, has led to features in Health Monitor, Healthline, and she's, spoke. She actually spoke at a conference in DC, which is amazing. So she's awesome. That's all I'm saying. As a social health awards recipient and podcast host, Jennifer's mission is to empower others to find hope, resilience, and community, which I love. Community, that's a word that pops up all the time, doesn't it? We got to find community. Okay. Jen, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being here and having me on your podcast. That was a blast, by the way. I can't wait for that to come out. Thanks for being here. This is great.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure. And it was so fun having you on. So hopefully your episode is going to air before this even airs.
Right. Yeah. We'll see. I mean, it's kind of funny with that stuff, right? Like, when does it air? When do you record it? When does it, So yeah, I get it. The world of podcasting and world of TV is similar. Like, it's kind of crazy. So, okay, let's just kick this thing off. Let's talk about so give me some of your bigger challenges, like, that you faced when you first received your RA diagnosis, rheumatoid arthritis. Actually, you know what? I have a better question to start us off. What the heck is a Spoonie? Spoonie Sisters. Let's tackle that first, okay? I know what it is because I've learned, but let's talk about that for a second, because some people are like, what the heck does that mean? I don't even, what is that? Is that like the game Spoons or what? So talk about what a Spoonie is.
Well, you're in luck because I happen to have a couple of spoons on my desk.
All right.
And so we're going to pretend that I have many of these. And I'm going to say, okay, Jeff, how did you start your day today? You woke up. What did you do when you got up?
Woke up, went to the kitchen and made some coffee, and then got got ready for the day, and then I got dressed, all that kind of stuff, and then had my first call, Zoom call with somebody at about 10:30 in the morning, and then I had another one at 11:30. Yeah, so that was kind of how my morning started. Yeah.
Okay, so when you leave your bedroom, are you guys on a top floor? Are you on a bottom floor?
Bottom floor.
Okay, so it's not like you had to, use some energy to get down some stairs or anything like that.
Nope.
But you got up, you went into your kitchen to make some coffee, and maybe you have arthritis or some kind of chronic pain, and so it's a little difficult. So here, you've already used one spoon, and this equals your energy. And I'm assuming you probably took a shower, brushed your teeth, all that fun stuff. So
all of the things, yeah.
If you're having a hard pain day, maybe this only took one spoon, maybe it took 2 or 3. But that's really what the spoon theory is all about. Is a famous blogger in the Spoonie world. She her name is Christine Miserandino, and she came up with this idea of how to explain to a friend what it was like living with lupus. And they were out visiting, and she just started grabbing spoons from all the tables. And she walked her friend through the day, just like I was asking you, how do you start your day? And she just started handing her spoons, saying, okay, you might have started out with 12 spoons this morning, and it's lunchtime, and you've already used almost all your spoons. Your energy is fading. So that's what it is like to live with chronic pain, chronic illness, invisible illness, any of that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Your energy just starts to fade. And so we end up napping or taking it slower, or maybe we do less things to get ready. Maybe I don't bother doing my hair, whatever can make our lives easier. But that's the whole idea of the spoon theory.
Nice. Okay. That was a good explanation. I like that. That's I actually I actually have a jar of about a dozen spoons sitting by my coffee maker, and it's I don't use them very often, but after hearing that from that kind of that description, and everybody's got a little bit different description about it, but they're all good. That's what I think of when I see that jar of spoons. I'm like, okay, how many am I starting the day with today? Because every day is different. You might start one day with 12. You might start one day with 6 because you slept like crap last night, right? Or
exactly.
So, yeah, crazy.
Yeah, depending on your diagnoses, depending on your sleep, your journey, whatever is going on with you.
Yeah.
It's not a set amount every day. Because I had someone ask me one time, well, how do I know how many spoons I start out with? Well, there's not really a set amount for everyone. It's just
honestly, and okay, so you take that nap, you run out of spoons by 12, by lunchtime, and you take a nap for an hour. Okay, now you've renewed your energy a little, but maybe you didn't renew it to 12 spoons. Maybe you only renewed it to 6 or 8, or right. It's exactly. Such an individual thing with such a daily awareness of it. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right. Well, there you go, everybody. That's what a spoon is. That's what a spoonie is. So let's talk about that. So so some of the challenges with RA, rheumatoid arthritis, and especially because it's an invisible condition. How does that roll through your day?
Okay. I think the best way to answer that question is I'll start you from the beginning.
Yeah.
And it kind of rolled on for a couple of years, probably starting around 2010. I started to have a weird pain in my knee that I really had a hard time describing. And it was only in the knee. So they did an MRI and a CT scan, and they weren't seeing anything. And finally, it was 2011 that I went in and saw my family practitioner and talked to him about it again. And I said, I don't know why, I'm having a hard time taking stairs, and it's starting to shoot pains. And he said, I think you might have a strep infection in your knee.
Yeah.
And I looked down and I'm like, that happens?
What does that even mean? I've never heard of that. Yeah.
So apparently you can get strep and it doesn't actually clear up whatever they prescribe you. Sometimes it likes to hide inside of our joints or our bones.
What?
That's what he said.
Okay. All right. Sure.
Yeah. And so he put me on a few months worth of antibiotics, and there was absolutely no change whatsoever. Ugh. And after that, he said, okay, I think you have some sort of rheumatism, and I think we need to start doing some blood work to find out what's going on with you. And after some of the numbers came back, he said, you have a lot of inflammation in your body. And by then I was starting to feel pain in other places. And he's like, I think we're on the right track. It's rheumatism. And I think you need to see a rheumatologist. And of course, I go home and I'm telling my husband all about this. And he's like, rheumatism? Is he just giving you a made up thing just to make you, is he trying to make you feel validated by just saying rheumatism? And, this is all happening around October, and they're trying to get me in to see this rheumatologist.
Yeah.
But as holidays start approaching, that's not a great time to try to set up with a rheumatologist or any specialist.
Nope.
And somehow all of my information that they were trying to send from one place to the next place wasn't getting there.
Yeah.
They kept saying, oh, I'm faxing this over, and they're not getting it. And it was such a headache. And so finally, come right after Christmas time, they got me scheduled but they got me on the schedule for March.
Oh, so
Yeah.
6 months later.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, I get to keep going like this. Great. My hands are hurting. My ankles are hurting. Everything's starting to hurt now. And I got there on that appointment day in March, and he almost sent me home.
What?
Yeah. He said he didn't get everything that he had asked for from my family doctor.
Oh, come on. And you didn't think to talk to me about this until at the appointment. You're going to send me home? Come on, doc. Come
Exactly.
on.
Exactly.
Oh.
And we drove 2 hours to be there for this.
Oh, no.
I honestly, I just started crying. I just started crying.
Right?
And it wasn't trying to get pity from him or a reaction. It was, that's how much pain I was in. That's how horrified I was.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, we'll do this anyway. And I'll just redraw the blood work. And so they did. They took like 13 vials of blood. And he started me on prednisone, handed me 3 pamphlets and said, I think you have one of these. I'll see you in a month.
Good Lord. Okay. Take your pick. Russian roulette. Here you go. Which one is it?
So he sent me home with pamphlets for rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, and honestly, I don't remember the third one. Yeah, so of course, I went home and did all the Googling because that's what we do.
Oh, and it scared the daylights out of you, probably.
Oh, yeah. Because let's see, if this was 2011, I was 31 years old, raising 3 middle schoolers. And so in my mind, I'm like, no, this can't be happening. Nope. I'm 31 years old. I should be fine.
Right. One thing I just wanted to ask you something. You kind of breezed over this word, and I want to make sure that everybody understands what the heck it is, because I'm still foggy on what the heck it is.
Okay.
So there's arthritis. I've heard of, everybody knows what arthritis is, and everybody knows what rheumatoid arthritis. I mean, people have heard that term before. What the heck is the difference? Or is it synonymous? I mean, is it the same?
So there are different forms of arthritis, and I think most of us grow up thinking it's an old person's disease.
Yeah.
And
typically, yeah. That's what I would think.
And what we don't understand or learn is that there's many different forms of it. And so like there's osteoarthritis, which is more of an old person's. And then there's rheumatoid, and there's psoriatic, there's ankylosing. There's so many variants, and they can hit anyone at any age. And so rheumatoid arthritis, that is also an autoimmune disease, not just arthritis. So it attacks your ligaments, your joints, your soft tissues. It can attack your organs.
Yeah.
And so there's just so much more at play than just regular, I'm getting older and I have osteoarthritis, or I had an injury and now I have arthritis.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Oh, I just popped into my head. I want to throw this out to the audience, by the way. Everybody watching, first of all, I hope you're taking notes, because you probably know somebody that's got rheumatoid arthritis, and maybe you don't even know it, or maybe you do, but it's kind of common. And so if if you're listening and go, yes, if there are any Spoonies out there that are listening and go, yes, I'm relating to this, or anytime during the show with any of Jen's story, comment in Facebook, comment in YouTube if you're watching on one of those platforms, and just comment yes if you want. Just something simple. You don't have to get into it and get personal with what's going on if you don't want to. Just some kind of comment so that we know to get, and then Jen can get in touch with you, or scan the QR code, and she can, and you can listen to her podcast. And there are other, you told me there are other things at this QR code location that people can get in touch with you. So,
yes, that directs them to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I don't think it directs you to TikTok, but I'm sort of there when I feel like it.
Yeah, I understand that. Okay, so people can get in touch with you by scanning the QR code and following the links. So if anybody is watching and wants to get in touch, there you go. So that'll be up for the rest of the show. And yeah, okay, cool. So we got about 3 or 4 minutes left before we take a break. What kind of, here's a question. What'd you run into, like when you say it's invisible, right? So have you run into a lot of people with like misconceptions with this? I imagine you probably have run into all kinds of stuff.
Absolutely. I think the biggest is people not realizing the kind of medications you're on once you have a diagnosis like this, because these are powerful medications and they suppress your immune system much more than it already is. And that's something that people don't realize. And so I would have people trying to make plans with me and saying, "Oh, I have just a little cold. It's fine." And try a little cold for me can be pneumonia. For me, it can be so many other things. This whole month of April of 2024, I was sick for a whole month with pneumonia. That started out as a little cold. And that's probably a big misconception that I would say we have.
I mean, I think when we initially were trying to connect to plan this show and being on your show, and I think if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, it could have been somebody else, but I think it, even trying to get our first Zoom call set up, it was like, I can't do it today, kind of thing. I think I remember that. So
yeah, I definitely have some hit and misses with people. And so, if you want to be on the podcast, I'm happy to have you, but bear in mind, I am a chronically ill person. You never know what's going to happen with me. So
be flexible.
Be patient.
Yeah, be patient, be flexible, be cool. Nice. Yeah. Okay. Well, we got a couple minutes before we go to a break, but is there anything based on what we've talked about so far? I mean, is there anything you want to throw out there, and then we're going to hit a break and then we'll come back?
Sure. I do have something that would be helpful to share before the break.
Yeah.
And that would be symptoms of rheumatoid arthritis.
Yes.
And that one's an easy one to get talked about in just a couple minutes. And so there's some signs and symptoms, and they include things like tender, warm, swollen joints, joint stiffness that is usually worse in the mornings or after inactivity. And so I'll tell you, it's definitely a balancing act of, oh gosh, I hurt today, I don't want to move, but also knowing if I'm inactive, I'm going to hurt more. Yeah. And then along with that, fatigue, fever, loss of appetite, those kind of things. And, honestly, you have those symptoms with a lot of other illnesses. And so in a way, even though I didn't like that rheumatologist, I understand why he handed me 3 pamphlets, because they all have the same symptoms.
Nice. Yeah, it's true. And and when we come back, I want to kind of touch on that too, because it's with those symptoms, with a lot of the common symptoms that you have with rheumatoid arthritis, and can really be misdiagnosed very easily.
Absolutely.
The like lupus and chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia and
even Lyme
disease. Yeah. There's so many that are so similar with just a little nuance there that makes it Lyme disease or lupus or fibromyalgia. And so maybe we can talk about that on the other side of the break of like how much misdiagnosis is going on, because he handed you 3 pamphlets and said, take your pick,
Yeah.
None, please. Thank you.
Yep.
So let's maybe touch on that on the other side of the break, but everybody stick around. We got more to come. There's so much more to this story you don't want to miss. And can't wait to see you on the other side of the break. We'll see you soon.
In a world where office workers typically receive 130 daily emails and have an 8-second attention span, CoreCentrica, with her 4 decades of international marketing experience, has partnered with the Learning Code Institute and their 30 years of neuroscientific research. Together, we are crafting unique messaging strategies that resonate, connect, and ultimately convert our target audiences. CoreCentrica, where award-winning creativity and disruptive neuroscience come together. Scan this code now, or call and click, and let us show you how CoreCentrica's partnership with the Learning Code Institute is influencing how businesses connect with their audience, foster engagement, and achieve conversions.
Hi everyone, I'm Andy.
And I'm Minna.
We're the hosts of Chronically Healthy Life.
Join us Fridays at 7 p.m. Central Time on Vitality TV to see how we flip the idea of chronic on its head and create chronic health in our bodies, minds, finances, and relationships, right here on E360 TV.
Hey, everybody. Sorry, I was looking behind me for a second. That's always fun, coming back on the show and staring at the back of the host head. Okay, before we bring Jen back, I just want to touch real quick on Invisible Condition University, ICU for short. Now, we created ICU because it's something we wish we would have had, my family and I. It's something we wish we would have had 10 years ago. Okay, I've gone through 4 brain surgeries and 2 other surgeries related to those in the last 10 years. Every time I'd leave the hospital, they'd forget my name. They're awesome when you're in the hospital. Best care I've ever had. Once you leave the hospital, though, it's hard to get help from them. And so that's why Catherine, my wife, and I created ICU. We wanted to provide a place where people like us, maybe with people like you, would have a place, a community that listens, that cares, that walks with you through what you're going through, because it's a lot sometimes, no matter what you're going through or where you are in the process. We meet on Zoom twice a month for about an hour. We start with an hour. If it goes longer, that's okay. We want to hear everybody out, and we want to provide a safe place for patients and their caregivers. Bring them all, bring everybody to ask questions, vent frustrations, find information that maybe they're not getting from their caregivers or from their medical professionals. The next call will be on Tuesday, December 3rd at 3 p.m. Mountain Time. They're always on the first and third Tuesday at 3 p.m. Mountain Time, and they're always recorded. So if you miss one and you're part of the community, you can always go back and watch previous recordings. Go to myfreegiftfromjeff.com to get your first month for free. Scan the QR code or go to the website, and I'm excited to see you there. All right, let's bring Jen back on the show and keep going here. Put that back on there. All right, here we go. Nice. All right, Jen. We were going to talk about, what were we going to talk about? Misdiagnosis and all the different things that rheumatoid arthritis is not, but could look like, right? So if somebody has been told, like you said, you couldn't remember all 3 pamphlets that you got, but if somebody's been to their doctor and they think, because doctors have to attach a diagnosis. It's like they can't not, right? Otherwise they don't know what to do with you, which is understandable. So, because they got to have somewhere to go, some way to treat you. And if you don't have a diagnosis, they can't. So rattle off some of the things that are like, there's probably several that are similar that some people might be misdiagnosed with.
Yeah, depending on your symptoms, they could think that you have lupus, or I've heard of people getting diagnosed with Lyme and then, or getting diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, but it turned out to be Lyme, or vice versa. I mean, there's just so many. It depends on if you're having gut issues, because they might start looking at other areas like Crohn's. I mean, anything that could have inflammation, they might somehow misdiagnose it.
Yeah, Crohn's, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome might be part of it. Like, and some of these might be in combination too. Like you might have rheumatoid arthritis and chronic fatigue syndrome at the same time, maybe, or Crohn's, and it's sometimes they can. It's crazy.
They can overlap, but we also say they like friends, and so a lot of times you might talk to someone and find out they actually have more than one diagnosis.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, going back to that first rheumatologist and having him leave me there with these 3 pamphlets, I cannot even believe that I continued going to this doctor for a full year before I fired him and moved on.
Right.
Because really, you're not going to believe this, but he went and put me through those first few medications, which are typical. Any rheumatologist, they have this rundown of what they are going to start you on. I started having allergic reactions right off the bat.
Mm.
And so the first one, I was out of town visiting my family. They live up in the middle of nowhere in Washington, not a hospital nearby, not a doctor nearby. And I had a seizure and fell and hit my head in their kitchen.
Oh, no.
We called the rheumatologist office and wanted to know, like, is this something that's normal? Should I go get seen, et cetera, et cetera? And while I'm on the phone, my husband's researching it and he's like waving his arms and he said, you are allergic. This is an allergic reaction. And so I told them that, okay, my husband just looked this up. This is a rare, allergic reaction. My rheumatologist argued with me and told me to stay on it. And he said, because I see you have epilepsy. So you already have a seizure issue. Keep taking the medicine. And I said, where in my chart does it say that I have epilepsy? Because it does not say that anywhere. It turns out he was looking at a medication I was put on for migraines.
Oh, my goodness.
And so there's a crossover. I mean, in the medical field, there are so many medications that cross over into treating different things.
Yep.
This particular medication I was on can help with seizures and can help with migraines. So he jumped to conclusions. And so it should have been right then and there that we fired him, but we didn't. And so a couple other problems with him. Moved on to a new rheumatologist in my town. And the very first appointment, I walked in, he sat me down, he looked through my file, looked through all my symptoms, my blood work, and he said, I don't need to do any more tests. You have rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah. Man. Well, okay. First thing I want to say is I hope you guys were listening when she was talking about this a minute ago. It's okay to fire your doctor. It's okay to get a second opinion. Everybody does it for everything else. You don't like the car mechanic, you get a second opinion. You don't like the price they give you for a car, you go to another dealership. You do it in every other aspect of life. People think you can't do that with a doctor. Of course you can. If you don't like the care that they're giving you, go find one that you do like the care you're getting. And so, yeah, it's just for us that have been in and out of doctors all the time. It's like advocacy for ourselves, right? It's like, it's necessary, but a lot of people don't realize that you can fire your doctor. So yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So well done, by the way. You are one of the few people I've ever, there's not very many people that I know that would say that out loud. Yep. Fired my doctor. So,
yeah. Well, and I want to say this to anyone that is in their 40s or older. I think we grew up in the time and the generation of you go to the doctor, they prescribe you something because you're not well, you go home, you take the medication, you get better. And that is the mindset we grow up with. That's how we look at it. You go to this place, they're going to make you feel better. It doesn't always work that way.
For me, I think it was my parents that instilled that in me. I think honestly, it's the baby boomer generation maybe that kind of was of that mindset. And so they kind of passed it along to us, it's like, and so yeah, you're right. I totally understand that. Yeah. Your parents bring you to the doctor and you just don't argue. You just go.
Exactly. Yeah. You grow up thinking I'm going to get this flu shot, so therefore I'm not going to get the flu. Well, sometimes you still get the flu. It's just not as bad. Or sometimes you still get it really bad.
Well, you know what's funny is I don't think I've had a flu shot in 30 years. And it's been decades since I've had a flu shot. And I don't think I've had the flu in 30 years either. So
I am jealous.
There might be something to that. I don't know. I'm just saying. But hey, some people feel like the flu shot works and it helps them, and more power to you. And don't let me tell you what to do. But for me, I don't know, stay away from it and it works out. So because the flu sucks.
I always tell people, don't even sneeze near me. Don't even talk about being ill, because if you do, I'm gonna get something. So just let's all pretend we're all healthy all the time, and I'll stay healthy.
That's right. Hey. It's true. Oh my gosh. That's crazy. Okay. So as someone who is obviously a strong advocate, I mean, you don't fire you, doctor, if you're not a strong advocate for something, right? As a strong advocate for autoimmune awareness and just awareness in general, and like helping people to educate themselves and be their own best advocate. Tell us a little bit about that. How do you do that, and what do you tell people in that arena?
So it kind of depends. I have people that are recommended to me from other people.
Okay.
I have people just reach out to me and ask me questions, and sometimes it's out of my wheelhouse. And I'm perfectly happy to say that. I am not a doctor. Take what you want to out of our conversation, but I can tell you what I did, or I can recommend the best solution that has worked for me, because I also have psoriasis now. And so a lot of it is just sharing what works for us and trying to help other people by that. And so I don't know if that's really what you mean by your question, but that's what popped in my head.
Yeah.
And so, I will talk your ear off if you ask me to. I will give you all the information, and I will point you in the direction of many people. I think that's kind of what I am all about, and what the podcast is slightly about too, is making sure that we connect people. I guess people call me because I want you to get the help. I want you to feel the very best that you can. And if I know somebody that can help you with that, I'm going to send you their way.
Nice. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, and what I'm hearing from this with the podcast, especially, I mean, I was so cool to be on there, and I can't wait for it to air so we can see it. And, but it was cool because a lot of people, I know, it's both ends of the spectrum, right? Some people get a condition that, especially one that knocks them for a loop, like rheumatoid arthritis or fibromyalgia or lupus or something that's really painful, and they're like, oh, I just can't, I'm done. And you didn't do that. You created a podcast that's rocking it, that was so fun to be on. Talk about that. I mean, how do you come about, like, where does that come from? I just want to do a podcast.
Well, I want to start by saying I wasn't always strong. I wasn't.
Sure.
In the beginning, I think I let the illness take over. And Google was not my best friend. I wish somebody would have ripped the computer out of my hand. I was convinced my life was over. I was convinced I was going to look and feel and be like an 80-year-old woman. Yeah. And I was convinced I was going to be crippled. And so that's part of what I'm all about, is saying, stop it. Put a time limit on your grief. It's okay to grieve, but put a time limit on it. Maybe you're grieving your medication's not working, or maybe you're grieving that you can't run the way you used to. That's okay, but stop it. Put the time limit on there. It's so important to remember that you still have value. You still have so much to offer, and somebody needs to hear your voice. So it's worth getting up, dusting yourself off, and fighting. And so that's kind of where I started to grow into what I am now. I finally decided to stand up and say, stop it. And so now I reached out to a gal that I heard her podcast. It was called My Immune System Hates Me. And I wanted to be a guest on her podcast after hearing another friend be on her show. And we instantly hit it off, and I just adore her. She lives over in New York City. She's a professional dancer and choreographer for a kids program, and she's amazing. But after 2 years, she decided to shut down her podcast and move on with her life, which is great. I'm happy for her. But I saw a hole that was going to be there, and how much it needed to be filled. And we already did so much together in our little core group that we called My Spoonie Sisters, because we were all women that would lean on each other and have fun together. And I thought, I'm going to fill this hole, and we're going to call it My Spoonie Sisters. And so that's exactly what I've done. And now I've met so many amazing people across the world, and we do let our brothers in too. I really didn't think that through when naming it.
Thank you. Yeah.
but most of the time it's us women banding together and talking and joining in on things, with a few of you guys that actually want to join and participate, which is, it's growing.
Well, to be fair, my wife was with me. So there's your sister. There you go.
She's my
she
Spoonie
she
sister.
brought me along, you know.
Yes. And it was so fun talking to the two of you guys. You guys are a hoot. I love it.
That was a blast. Yeah, that was really fun. She's kind of just breaking into this whole world too. So she's doing so good. I was so impressed. She did a great job. So
be sure to tell her how proud of her I am, because that's
I will.
awesome.
Yeah,
it can be intimidating.
Yeah. When you're not used to it, it can be a little freaky. So yeah, that's so cool.
But you know, that and the advocacy world in itself, I always tell people it gets easier with practice. And so when people are like, well, how do you do what you do? And how do you stay confident in it? And I said, well, practice makes permanent, doesn't it? So that's what my choir director always told us. You practice so you can become permanent. So I've kind of stuck with that mindset of everything that you practice, every time you try, you're trying to make it a permanent thing. And so share your voice, be there for other people, and share your knowledge.
You are one of the few people I can count the number of people on one hand that has ever said that. Usually practice makes perfect. No, it does not. Practice makes permanent. I love that. And
it can be a bad practice too.
Well, yeah, you could suck at it. And if you do it enough, it's going to suck forever. So yeah, I mean, I was a band. I mean, my wife and I met in 7th grade band. So we grew up, doing that. And so we were band for 6 years. And then I was choir too. I did choir in high school and did music for a long time, still do. And so, yeah, the choir, I've heard that practice makes permanent more times than I can count. So you're one of the few people I've ever heard that say it too, though. That's cool.
Hooray.
I love it. Yeah, that's so cool because it's so true. So, well, we got about a minute or two left before we're going to go to our last break. Anything for the next couple minutes you want to leave them, and then we'll go for it.
Sure. Okay. So I brought up another thing too, and I sent you the link. One thing I want to mention to people is be careful when you're Googling. Look for places that are trusted. Okay. So I lean on things like the Mayo Clinic, on the Rheumatology Research Foundation, AiArthritis, a lot of those kind of places, or the National Psoriasis Foundation, because I know they are trusted and I know that the research has been there for what they're sharing. So if you go to the Mayo Clinic, one of the things that they have on here, it says about 40% of people who have rheumatoid arthritis also experience signs and symptoms that don't involve the joints, and these areas may be affected as well. And so I'm going to give you a list of some of these things.
Okay.
So the skin can be affected, the eyes, and you even hear about people getting uveitis, like inflammation and problems in the eyes.
Oh, wow.
It can affect your lungs. I know people that have gotten lung disease, and it can be because of the rheumatoid arthritis or a combination of that and the infusion drugs they're on.
Oh, wow.
It can affect your heart, your kidneys, your salivary glands, nerve tissue, bone marrow, and blood vessels.
Holy cow.
I know, right?
Wow. So that doesn't make it more simple to diagnose, though.
No, not at all. Because I think in the beginning, people think, okay, over time, rheumatoid arthritis, it can cause joint deformity. Wow.
Yeah.
That was a mouthful. And so I think that is where we all get stuck. We focus on, the knuckles that'll all look all deformed.
Yeah.
That's what we focus on. And not everybody gets there. Some people, they get early diagnosis and they get on a treatment care plan that works well for them. So like, if you look at me, my hands kind of appear normal-ish, but if you look at my feet, they're a little gnarly. It just kind of depends.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody's different, right? So it affects everybody differently.
It's not a one size fits all. Definitely
not. All right. Well, man. Okay. See, I learned something new every day. I learned something new every show. Good Lord, there's a lot of stuff you got to watch out for, man. All right. Well, I'm going to soak that up while we go to this break here. And I will see you guys on the other side. Stick around. We got a little more to come, and you're not going to want to miss it. So stick around.
Hey there, You know, every time someone comes into your business or website and uses their card to pay, a percentage of that gets folded back into the system. But it can go to Hydro with Hope instead. If you'd like your business to support us rather than feed back into the system, scan the QR code and we'll show you how to do that while saving your business money.
Tired of losing cell service in dead zones? Concerned about connectivity in emergencies? There is now an answer. Introducing the Love Pod. The world's first affordable encrypted global internet Wi-Fi hotspot connects with multiple service carrier networks and is satellite assisted when no service carrier networks are available. So it works virtually anytime, anywhere. Connect up to 9 devices, like our cell phone, laptop, desktop, TV, security cam, and more. Stream, chat, text, download, and make phone calls, all with no roaming fees. With mesh capability, the Love Pods will grow in strength and speed with each new pod activated to create a private terrestrial-based intranet called Love Global Network. The Love Pods are dual blockchain encrypted with Love's proprietary 2048-bit cube chain encryption, giving you the ultimate protection in data privacy and security against digital attacks and hacks to your devices. You are no longer tracked, and your data is never sold. Get the Love Pod, your private, encrypted, portable global internet Wi-Fi hotspot, and stay safe and stay connected.
The Club eFit Home Portable Gym System is a groundbreaking new system that can help everyone at any fitness level. You can be the happy, fit person you always wanted to be, and Club eFit can make that happen by helping you get the body you deserve in the time you can spare. With workouts ranging from cardio, core, to total body toning, it's easy to get started. Start taking care of you today. To make the change, go to clubefit.com now.
Hey everyone, Coach Greg here from Living Empowered TV, where we help women live empowered lives through amazing guests, life hacks, mental, physical, and emotional health. See us on the Achieve Network, 12 o'clock Wednesdays Pacific time on E360 TV. Don't miss out.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are almost done. Believe it or not, time flies when you're having fun. Got about 10 minutes left, and I just wanted in this last little bit. I ask everybody on the show the same question every show, and I'm always fascinated by the answer. There's no wrong answer. I love this idea, like hope. We are huge into hope around here, because if you don't have hope, you're kind of dead in the water already, right? So in those days that are tough, in those days that you know, it's like, on those hard days, how do you maintain hope?
Wow. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, sorry. I felt like it glitched out for a second. Hope. That's a good one. Honestly, I think it's through my faith, it's through my family, and through my community.
Nice.
And on any hard day, what I love is that there's people there to lift me up and support me. And, you know, if I'm quiet for too long, I have friends that reach out to me. It's just amazing. It's amazing, the community that I now have. It's so different than when I was first diagnosed, because I felt very alone, not supported, not understood. And then some of this was by my own friends. I actually had a friend tell me that she couldn't handle having a friend that was sick. She was afraid that something would happen to me, and she couldn't deal with more loss. She had lost a husband. He had died. And I was like, wait a minute. I'm 31. I just got diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. Well, I was 32 by then. Got diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, and I'm going to die? Not today. No. Not today. Yeah, you can still live a seemingly normal, healthy life. I mean, a lot of people around you have invisible conditions, and you have no idea they have them.
Right.
And so I guess she did me a favor. I have people in my life that are so much more supporting than she was. And so I feel that I have a good corner.
Good. Yeah. That's important. That's a big deal. Because
Mhm.
yeah, you gotta, and you know, part of it, as bittersweet as that is, you know, sometimes people do that. You know, not everybody that's in your life is going to be there forever, and sometimes sometimes that knocks them out of the running. You know, knocks them out of the loop, and
Mhm.
they can't handle it. And so it's more about them than it is about you, honestly. So
Yes,
so
yes. And the irony is when people that you've lost over time is how they reach out to you when something happens to them or their own family members. And I've had that happen quite often. And to be honest, there's the little jerk in me that wants to just kind of ignore their message
right.
or not respond or respond not nice. But that's not who I am.
No.
Everything that I do, everywhere that I speak, and everyone I talk to is all about support. And so those people that have reached out to me, I support them just like I do anybody else. And just like I wish they would have supported me but in the beginning.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So if I can be their hope, I want to do that.
That's awesome. So what if somebody was sitting down with you for coffee or tea or whatever your, you know, whatever your beverage of choice is, you're sitting across the table, eyeball to eyeball with them, and they're sitting there and they say, look, I think this is going on. I think I've got this, you know, some sort of arthritis or rheumatoid or, you know, what do I do? You know, what would be the first thing you would tell them if they found themselves in your shoes?
The first thing I would say is, when did this start? What are your symptoms? And if they start giving me the generic answers of, oh, it's been a while, and oh, it kind of feels like this, and sometimes this, I'm like, okay, you need to start journaling and tracking. Or there's this new app that I use. I'm gonna have a mind blank, aren't I? What is it called? It is called Guava. It's called the Guava Health app.
Nice.
So if anyone's interested, check it out. The Guava Health app, you can even put in that you have a condition, and it has questions that it'll ask you based off of that. So since I have rheumatoid arthritis, it's going to send me out check-in alerts to ask about my pain, my inflammation level.
Oh.
It can you can set up medication reminders and stuff like that. And so
cool.
the thing that I tell people is, if you are not tracking, shame on you. Shame.
Right.
So start tracking everything that you can, even if it doesn't seem like it's related, because sometimes these little things that seem so minor, they are related in some manner. And so make sure you're tracking and describe it as much as you possibly can, and do a better job than you're telling me right now. Because when you go to see this doctor, especially if you have to see a specialist, they need all the information. They cannot help you with little information. It is your job to be part of the program.
Right.
It's being a good patient. This is your health, so it's part of your job. It's not just them.
Right. Yeah. Don't expect them to keep track of it all for you. They've probably that doctor that you're seeing, if you're in the hospital or if you're in the clinic or whatever, they probably saw 30 other people just like you that day. So they're not going to remember to remind you to do this or ask you to do that. You that's where being your own best advocate comes in, and where you have to do that.
Yeah. And I was just looking for it. I don't see it, but I have this other thing called the Chronic Pain Journal that one of my Spoonie sisters that I recently had on the podcast shared with me. And it's amazing. And so it's this journal that has sections to fill out so that you're ready for every doctor's appointment. But what is genius is she made stickers. So there's hand stickers, there's feet stickers, there's body stickers. And so you put the sticker on the page, and then you can circle and point out what is going on, and you can write down symptoms next to it.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
I mean, for you probably just need the head, right?
Oh, you'd be surprised. but yeah, most of the probably 90% of the time, from about that's about it. But that's cool. That's really cool.
What a genius idea.
Right? Yeah. There's your $1 million idea right there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask them those questions. I'm going to start thinking about, okay, depending on what they're telling me, what resource do I know about? So I'm probably going to tell them about the Guava app. I'm probably going to share about the pain journal I know about. All these things that other people share with me, I'm probably going to be like, okay, you need this and this and this and this, and you need to talk to this person and hurry up and set up an appointment because you need to talk to them about this, this, and this. And to remind them too, that they never have to be alone in this. They've got all of us to support them and listen to them along the way.
Yeah. That's huge because so many people, especially when it's invisible, people feel like it's the only, that's why I love bringing so many people on here, that it's all invisible, but it's all important because there's probably many people even watching this episode right now that either know somebody or have dealt with rheumatoid arthritis themselves. And so they're, it just bolsters the community and helps them to know that they're not alone,
Yeah. And, I even had a rheumatologist, a pediatric rheumatologist on the podcast, and she's amazing. Nice. She's out of Texas, and she also has rheumatoid arthritis. So I think that's incredible that she's treating kiddos, but she understands so well what people are dealing with. And so I love that.
Yeah.
But
that's really cool.
I think she echoes a lot of the same things that I say. I think a lot of us do. Once you're in this world, that like, oh my gosh, you got to be tracking things. You got to be talking to your doctor, and you got to be getting resources from the right places. Be careful where you're going. And but the best thing that you have is in front of you, ready to jump in and support you.
Yeah, 100%. Man, yeah, it's true. Well, I hate to say it, but we are out of time. We are at the end of an hour.
We did it.
We blinked and it was there. Well, here we are. So time flies when you're having fun. Jen, thank you so much for being here and for being so open to telling your story and talking, and just all the resources you threw out there. And I learned something. I hope you guys did too, everybody. Yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun.
All right. Okay, everybody. Man, I love it. I learn something every day. I do this show. It's so crazy. So here we go, guys. By the way, thank you for being here. Thank you. If this is your first show you've ever seen and you're brand new to this community, thank you. If you've been watching for the whole time we've been on the air, thank you. Like, subscribe, share, follow, all the things. If you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on YouTube, you can set a reminder, subscribe and set a reminder so you never miss a show. Join us for our next show, which will be on Tuesday, December 3rd. And when we will have another incredible guest talking about their story. And I'm going to put one last time, I'm going to put this ICU QR code up there. If you know anybody that would benefit from being a part of this community, first month's free. And I would love to meet you and your caregiver and anybody else that's involved in taking care of you. Join us on ICU, and have an amazing day. I mean, until next time, thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time.